Well, we just, certain team periods, we have two groups going, so they can fluctuate on a day-to-day basis. We did, yeah.
That was one of the first times when I think that he was out there with the two line and all that for Sean. I'm not
Might have to go check at the archives there, Bill.
the reps with those guys on for the game.
We'll see. We're kind of working through that right now.
Just give one off.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, typically we haven't done that, but we've done that in the past. But right now, the plan probably is to give Sean the first crack at it, then Pratt.
What's your barometer you use to decide who from the starting group does and doesn't play? Is it just anyone that starts isn't going to play? Or?
No, not necessarily. Some of the guys, it's basically on an individual basis. If we feel guys need more time, more reps, especially when you're talking some of these young guys that could potentially be starting, we'd like to see them play in a real football game.
Are you calling plays during preseason?
Yeah, Steno called it, and he'll call it again, and might have some other guys kind of get involved as well.
You do that because you want to give him experience, or because you want?
I think it's great experience. That's something that when I worked with Sean, he afforded me that opportunity when he was really the play caller, and then. I think it's good experience for those guys, and then it also allows you to kind of keep, the 30,000-foot view, if you will, on everything that's going on.
Will it be the other guy? Take it.
Potentially.
Matt, do you have to talk to your players to kind of control their tempers for these joint practices to try to limit or make sure there's no fights during this time?
Yes.
Does seeing some of the other two-day joint practices solidify your choice in only doing one?
Last year was, I want to say, the first time we did the one day with Cincinnati, and I thought it was pretty productive. Obviously, we had the 2 days versus New England. I thought the second day was kind of back and forth. I think, every situation is a little bit different. We've got a similar philosophy in terms of what I saw the big pub that Mayo got. That's something that we've kind of been doing here as well. If guys need to play in the preseason, you get in a fight, you're not going to play, and vice versa. That's for the guys that aren't anticipating playing. That's the practices are the times to do your work, and if you don't get your work in, you're going to get it in the game. So that's kind of how we've operated around here for a couple of years.
Limiting one-on-ones, things like that, to prevent it, or are you doing?
Yeah, I think a lot of times that's where it starts to get escalated, and a lot of trash talk. We will do one-on-ones versus Denver, but it's only going to be O-line, D-line. So there'll be no wide receiver, DB one-on-ones. That's usually where a lot of it, starts. And then also, in those special teams periods as well, you got to be careful and mindful and making sure that a lot of times the Flyers going against, especially when they're going against a Vice or whatever, it can kind of get chippy in that regard.
Speaking of special teams, will it be beneficial to practice this new kickoff with a different team versus do it in a preseason game?
Yeah, I think every opportunity it's beneficial. So whether it's in practice versus ourselves, whether it's against somebody else, whether it's in the game, I think every opportunity is beneficial.
What were your first impressions on actually seeing it live Saturday?
I think we're kind of used to seeing it now. In practice, it does look a little different, but it is what it is.
You met with Cooper or Carrington, Valentine. Will either of those guys get back to work anytime soon?
Yeah, I believe we said CV is going to be in Indy. I can't remember what they said about Coop.
Kraft took some 11 on 11 yesterday. I realized it wasn't like in pads, full speed and all that stuff, but he's taking the next step in his comeback time.
Yeah, yep. it's great to get him back out there in those 11-on-11 drills, and he's been chomping at the bit, as you know, and working really hard.
For rookies, we talked about the jump from college to the NFL on offense and defense. Is there that same learning curve for them on special teams, or can they come in and make a quick impact?
What's interesting about when you're talking teams is some of these guys may have been a non-teamer at their school. So I think a lot of guys typically, when you come into a situation as a young guy, you get thrust into that role, and then you kind of graduate out of it the more you play. So it's just kind of getting them reacclimated to the fundamentals, to the skills, to knowing what to do so they can go out there and play fast, because that is an important part of it. It's a great opportunity for a lot of these guys to make their impact early on in this league, and so those reps are really valuable.
Preseason games, you keep the offense, obviously you said vanilla, but in a sprint or in a joint practice, is that the most you can open up a playbook because of the lack of cameras or anything?
I think every situation is a little bit different. So sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Matt, we were talking yesterday with Emmanuel, and he mentioned last year after the shoulder injury some of the words you gave him and kind of what that meant to him. I'm just kind of curious, getting to know him a little bit.
What were those words, Wes?
There was some encouraging stuff that you had said to him after he got hurt, and just being able to kind of pick him back up a little bit. I was just wondering what it was like kind of getting to know him the last year and kind of what he's added just with his personality in the locker room.
Well, I think naturally he's a pretty quiet guy, but he's really talented, and that's obvious. And we're going to keep pushing him to try to get the most out of him. But he's been a great addition to the locker room. He's a great teammate. He's really good in the room, and it's funny because I always try to get him to smile each and every day because he is very, very, I don't want to say introverted, but he's just a quiet guy. So it's good to get him to smile.
Matt, yesterday, Grant Dubose mentioned the altitude in Denver. You guys doing anything to prep for that, especially since you were there last year?
Nope. Just got to do it. I mean, I know there's a lot to be made of it. I think a lot of it's, I mean, obviously there's going to be some physical effects. From what we were told a year ago, you have to be there a longer period of time to feel the effects, and we are going to be there. But I think it's just something mentally these guys are going to have to push through, and I think it'll be good for us. And I know we have some stuff like on the sidelines for in-game to kind of help with help the guys out to get them recovered a little bit faster.
Matt, Kalen King had a big tackle in the game last week, and then he had, I think, a sack and a pick yesterday. What's made him acclimate to the NFL quickly and be able to make some of those plays?
Yeah, he's just really instinctive. He's a really good football player, and you know, the more opportunities he gets, the more he seems to show up and make plays.
You kind of a natural in the slot, do you think?
Yeah, I think he's got that ability, no doubt about it. That's why we're playing him there.
Is Monk okay? I know you dropped out yesterday.
Yeah, he should be good to go. I think the couple days off combined with by Green Bay standards, it was a scorcher out there. I think it kind of got on guys a little bit.
With Quay Walker.
He should be back.
That's good.
All right, we'll see y'all out there.